and he took my hand and gave a kiss on the hand. And I'm gesturing now, so this doesn't work great on mics. But he licked up my hand, like maybe an inch or so. Hello and welcome to another week of Two Sheep in a Pool. My name's Ben.
Hi, and I'm James.
How you doing?
Yeah, I'm not bad, not bad.
Yeah?
Yeah, I've got a complaint for you.
Me?
I've got a complaint for you. Yeah,
Specifically?
Well, it's just a general complaint.
Is it podcast related or just me as a person?
No, it's not about you.
Oh, I see.
No, it's just as in for you, as in like for your entertainment.
I thought you meant you had a complaint about me.
Yeah, have you
and
seen
you'd waited, even though I've seen you this week, until the podcast to bring it up, just to goad a reaction out of me.
Yes, you stood on my toe, and I'm very angry about it. No,
go on. I can panic less now.
You can panic less. Yeah, because then you're like, podcast related? I was like, well, we're speaking on the podcast. No, basically, it's... And I think you will probably not be able to relate to this.
Okay.
But
is this a northern thing?
In one way, yes, but in another way, not really. Basically, so because we've mentioned before that we live in Liverpool, and Scousers have this thing where they will give you an unwanted nickname or like shortening of your name. Mm-hmm. So whenever I meet like a new Scouser and like introduce myself, I'm like, oh yeah, hi, my name's James, and whatever your name's.
How could they shorten your name?
And then they go, whoa, as short as you could go, right? So they go, all right, nice to see you, Jay. So I'm just a J, and it really annoys me because if I wanted to be Jay, I'd introduce myself as Jay. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I don't know how well it would work with you because, like, what?
Well, mine's
Bay.
Mine's already shortened anyway. Because when I was little, I used to go by Benjamin.
Yeah,
and like there was apparently I've been to the doctors once. I don't know how old I've been, but apparently I kicked off so much when he called me Ben that I have a note on my doctor's file saying to call me Benjamin.
Still
Ben.
now.
I don't know. I'm assuming it got wiped at some point.
Yeah.
And then, I think everyone who knew me from, like, school and then previously, I'm still known as Benjamin, but then anything that's, like, college and afterwards. So, like, if I go home now, my friends from school will still call me Benjamin.
Right. When did that change happen in your mind?
I think at college.
Yeah.
I think it just became easier.
You just cared less.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the thing with James is it's like one syllable. Do you know what I mean? It's not a particularly long name.
No.
And to get it short, like
James. I mean, time-wise, there's very little difference there.
No, and I don't really enjoy any of the other like shortenings or changes of James. So like
Jam.
That's just terrible. Jim is okay. Jimmy, I'm not a big fan of. Jamie, all these like different changes, I'm not a big fan of.
There's just not really any need, is there, for James?
No.
Short to the point. I mean, Benjamin, Ben.
Yeah.
Big difference.
Yeah.
Also, in my head, I don't know, because I never think about if anyone else is called Benjamin. It just sounds like a name.
Yeah.
But for me, Ben sounds less pretentious than Benjamin.
Yeah. It sounds almost like double-barreled. Do you know what I mean? Like Lily May kind of thing. Benjamin.
Anyway.
Yeah. So it's Scousers calling me not my name. Is my complaint for the week.
I don't know whether it's just the Scousers I know or whether it's Scousers, but there's a lot of abbreviations in general.
Oh, yeah.
Like emotional, emotion.
Oh, gosh.
So many.
They speak a different language. You have to kind of get into it to understand it. I think after living here for a few years, you kind of understand it.
That really... Abbreviations... this sounds pretentious now. Abbreviations in general really bother me. And I thought this was something that was just a big problem with me. Right. I think I got it from my mum. Because I went home recently and said something and she was like, oh, I hate that. And I was like, oh, do you? I hate that too. I can trace it through now.
What bothers you the most? Like,
I could write down a scale now.
Yeah.
My girlfriend knows this because she'll say a word and be like, oh, you'll hate that. And she'll be like, we've got like a system. She'll be like, is that a 10? Is that an 8? Worst ones for me, like Bicky, Cuppa, Sarnie, Chippy, any of them. They grate on me.
So things from the north. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, you, people from the north.
I would definitely say Chippy. What would you say? Fish and chip shop?
Fish and chip shop.
God, you're there all week.
I know. I don't know why it bothers me, but I'm not like. I mean, I'm not gonna like say something to someone I don't know, but like inside, it genuinely bothers me. Yeah. It's not just me saying, "Oh, I find that a bit irritating." Like,
I think my local
something wrong with me.
I think my local fish and chip shop has the word chippy in it.
Mm-hmm. The one next to me does back home as well.
Right.
It's called Rollin' Chippy. There we go. I've just narrowed down where I live even more from last episode as well.
We'll get your street next week, and then your house number.
I've just said the wrong name anyway. It's not that. It's Rowood.
Oh, okay.
I've been away from home so long, I forgot the name of the road next.
Who are you anymore?
I don't even know. I don't know what my accent is either.
Yeah.
Weird.
Oh, what about this is a real Scouse one? Trainees.
Training that bothers me a lot.
Grabby trainees.
One, I didn't think this is the thing, but again, up north, everyone just abbreviates everything. Mm-hmm. Okay, if I was gonna say a hot chocolate, how would you abbreviate that?
I don't even know.
This is up there with the worst.
Is a hottie chocky?
No, that's bad though.
I don't know.
It's like they've efficiently shortened it.
Okay.
That one I feel isn't really any shorter.
No.
A hocho.
A hocho. I've never heard that before.
Mm.
No.
Neither had I.
That doesn't sound very northern to me. A hocho. That sounds more like American.
They were northern. I think they were Scouse.
Really? Yeah. Because like, can I get a hocho? It sounds like very like Californian.
Yeah, it does actually.
Rather than, can I get hot chocolate? It sounds much more northern, I think.
Yeah.
So.
What about gonna get a hocho?
No, I'm not sold. I'm not sold on it. No.
Anyway.
Right.
Should we go to the news?
The news.
Mm-hmm.
News Bleat.
News Bleat.
This is where we talk about news. It's not really the news. It's just something one of us found interesting.
Or not.
Or not. So, you go first and then I'll go.
I've only got a couple of bits. Well, and all of these are movie news.
Movie news.
The segment within a segment.
Yep.
Should I just go for all of them? They're short.
Yeah, go ahead.
This is all just superhero news, really. It shouldn't even be called movie news. It shouldn't be called News Bleat. This should be called Superhero Time with Ben and James.
Okay, yes.
Avengers 4. The name's been rumoured but not confirmed.
Okay.
It's wrapped. It's fully finished. All the reshoots have happened.
Ooh.
We've just got to wait now until next May.
I keep seeing things that the Coen brothers, is that who directs it?
Russo brothers.
Russo.
Coen brothers are directors as well.
Okay, good. I knew there was brothers that were doing it, and they keep releasing like teasers and stuff like that.
They don't seem to really be teasing, and I mean, no one's cracked the code yet.
No, it's just like pictures that could be anything. Yeah. So it's all wrapped now.
All wrapped.
Is there a date for that when that's coming out?
It's May. I can't remember the specific date. I just remember it was May.
Okay.
So it'll probably change by the time it seems to get pushed for like a week or so anyway. So I've not penciled anything in yet.
Exciting.
To memory. Just thought I'd bring that up. Nothing really more to say about it. I'm just very excited about it.
Just like 6 months in the future, we're just already excited to go watch that. Right.
We're definitely doing an episode on that.
Yeah,
so
okay.
You're going to have to watch all 30, how many hours will be of film.
Yeah, and then by the end of it, we'll just do a delirious podcast, like where I think I'm seeing superheroes.
I think my hype will keep me powering through, but you'll probably just be
just crashing.
Incoherent. Yeah, I've got one last one. I don't know if you've got anything news bleaty.
Well, mine's not movie related.
Should I just
mine is movie related.
Go on, stick it in movie news.
We spoke about this briefly the other day. How Liam Neeson said that on set a horse recognised him from another film.
Did see that.
And I just thought that this was a little bit ridiculous. I just wanted to speak to you about it.
Well, the reason was it whinnied.
It whinnied at him, yes. When they first saw each other.
I mean, that's concrete evidence that it must, they're bonded for life.
Yeah. I think it was like, I'm imagining like some sort of horse movie now, where Liam Neeson and this horse fall in love.
This happened on set, I assume.
Yes.
So you're saying that in the future there's going to be a movie made about the re-meeting of these two.
Yeah, I think so.
On a movie.
I think so. I think it'd be a beautiful. Like, I don't know whether you do, with like a rom-com style. You follow Liam Neeson, you follow the horse for a bit. They keep meeting paths. The horse whinnies, throws its hair over its shoulders.
It's just teasing him.
And Liam Neeson then goes to the press like, "Oh yeah, that horse recognised me."
Oh god. Yeah.
I just think it's a load of bollocks.
Yeah, basically.
And like this was actually news that got reported. So now we're continuing that.
Yeah.
So what's your last bit of movie news?
Last bit is, we mentioned this, I can't remember if it was last episode or the one before. Disney Fox merger looks like it's got a date.
Okay.
For it all to be confirmed and happening. January 1st.
January 1st, that's a pretty good day.
New Year's resolution.
Just watch.
New page, all that jazz.
It'd be nice. Are you, along this line, are you thinking you get the Disney streaming service?
Maybe.
Do you have streaming services right now?
I've got Netflix.
Yeah. Do you have Amazon Prime?
And Amazon Prime. Mm-hmm. It depends. I'm sure that it'll end up with the Marvel properties that are on Netflix now, with Daredevil, Punisher, all of that. They'll probably end up moving over, because I think they're still on contracts with Netflix, but when they run out, I'm sure that they'll have that on there.
Definitely.
So if that happens, I'm sure I will. There's another bit of movie news, actually.
Okay.
Have you watched any of the Netflix series?
No.
Marvel ones?
No.
Not just... Have you ever watched Netflix?
The Netflix?
Iron Fist.
Okay.
That was a property on there. They just had season 2, which I'm yet to watch because I did slowly lose interest because season 1 of that wasn't great. But apparently season 2 was much better, and they've just announced it's been cancelled.
Oh.
So I don't know whether I'm gonna watch it more. It doesn't mean the character won't show up, because there's other iterations that he could show up in, but I forgot to write that down. That was meant to be a news bleat.
So should I watch this, or is this a have you watched it?
If you're going to watch it, they've got loads of them now. The Punisher came out pretty recently. That was good. Daredevil was the one that kicked it all off, and that was really good. Season 1 and 2 of that. Luke Cage was pretty good through most of it. There was a bit of a dip towards the end. Jessica Jones was another one that was good, and then they had like a big team up one called The Defenders, and that was a big letdown.
Okay.
That wasn't very good. I definitely watched Daredevil.
Right.
Though. Both of them, they were really good. Okay. So that's the first do watch that one that I've said. Thumbs up from me.
Sounds good.
So, what are we talking about today?
So this week, I asked you a couple of questions last week about about music, but not really in detail. Mm-hmm. And I said that we should do an episode on music. Mm-hmm. And I've decided that this is going to be the episode on kind of your music and how...
And I contested a little bit, because I'm slightly worried that, one, it's going to get just very boring with me talking about music.
Yeah.
But you're confident that you've picked such good questions that it's going to be good.
Well, we'll find out. If you're hearing this, listeners, then it's probably made it.
Mm-hmm. So this is an interview with Ben, basically.
Just episode on music and kind of how you go into
I'm worried about, because I always get this like imposter syndrome thing that even though my job is doing music, that I'm like, I'm not qualified to talk about music. Like, what if one of these questions comes up and I can't answer it?
I'm not. Yeah, it's not a quiz.
We're not going like in-depth music theory.
I mean, it depends how the questions lead you. Okay. We'll see.
See, that would be boring.
Yes. Yeah, I think it's more kind of just general stuff.
Okay.
So, my first question is, starting from the beginning, is what kind of music were you into before you started to play music?
Mm-hmm. How far back we going here?
Well, how old were you when you started to play music?
I think I started pretty late, really.
Yeah.
So I started playing guitar before I started singing. So I would say I basically picked my music GCSE, which would have been about 14 years old.
14, yeah.
There or thereabouts. And complete flip side of what I'm doing now, I started like metal music. That was what I was into.
Oh, okay.
I'm I'm trying to think of bands that I was really into then, like Slipknot, Disturbed, lighter stuff as well. Like I was a big fan. In fact, we spoke about this before, like Paramore, My Chemical Romance, other metal ones like Born of Osiris.
Your classic non-pop music, basically.
Yeah.
Kind of.
I mean, there was always, I think the stuff that kind of, when I was younger than that, before I started wanting to learn to play, was more of the stuff that I'm doing now. Like if my mum had on, like when I was younger, like Simon Garfunkel,
right,
bit of the Beatles,
yeah,
that kind of thing. But no, the stuff that got me into it was like metal.
Right.
Yeah. And then I kind of, after I got past the metal phase, kind of went more into like Led Zeppelin, AC/DC, kind of classic rock vibe. And then after that, that was when I kind of settled more. I'd say I'm a big fan of pretty much anything now, but like my favorite stuff, if I like default to it, is acoustic based.
Yeah.
Like singery songwriter.
Okay.
Stuff.
What was the first album you bought, or the first single you bought, or both?
I think we said this on the podcast as well.
What was it?
I think it was Paramore. It was Riot. I think that was their second album.
Okay.
I think that was the first one that I've physically bought with my own money.
You went out and got it.
Obviously had other music that I listened to before that, but yeah.
And then that's an album. Have you ever bought a single? Or like...
I don't know whether I have. Just a single. I think the first thing I got, I didn't buy it, but it was before iPods were like a big thing. And I just had it was like a generic stick MP3 player.
Right.
That I think was just given to me by either my mum or my dad. And it had, on it, there was like 3 Avril Lavigne songs, a Christina Aguilera album, and I'd asked one of them to buy this to put it on it, was the Rocky theme tune. And I remember that was the only source of music that I like could carry around with me. And I remember there was at least like, it must have been over the space of like 2 years because we took it on holiday.
Yeah.
And I just had that on loop. That like weird mix of songs.
That's very. I can imagine you like the Rocky theme tune because you want to go like maybe go for a run in the gym.
Yeah, that was literally
and then
just
Avril Lavigne after that. Is that just gets you pumped and straight into Avril Lavigne?
It was the weird songs first, and then it finished with the Christina Aguilera album. And I can't remember the name of the album. It was the one that had there was a song called Stronger, and that You Are Beautiful, whatever that one would have been. So that's not the proudest moment of music.
That's beautiful. I think you should just put that as a playlist and have that all the time.
Honestly, I'd hate to see the play count on those tracks because they've been in the thousands.
Okay. So you were saying you started to learn when you were 14 for your guitar, but
it might have even been 15. It was in that range anyway.
How did you decide on guitar as an instrument of choice? I know you mentioned before that you played Guitar Hero before.
I think that came after I started learning guitar. It was because that was when as soon as I started learning, I've got quite an obsessive personality when it comes to things. If I take to something, I tend to like go all in for a while. So that was just anything that had guitar on it, I was into. So what was the question?
How did you pick guitar as an instrument? Why not?
So I think there was 2 things to it. The first one was there was me and I think it was 2 of my cousins. There was the local library. There was a poster on there that was like free guitar lesson, like introductory one.
Yeah.
And I'd just been given not long ago. I don't even know how I ended up with it. It was like my nan's next door neighbor's son or something. I ended up for some reason getting a load of his free stuff, like clothes and bits and bobs. And it was like a 3/4 sized, like child's classical guitar.
Okay.
So I'd been given a guitar, and then I think either in the same week or near enough, there was this free guitar lesson. So me, like my mum and 2 cousins went to this guitar lesson. And I think the guy was a student, and he had this whole like lesson plan prepared, and he wasn't prepared for how bad everyone was going to be. So all I remember was he started trying to teach us this stuff, and like everyone was stumped. He was like just met with like silence, and then like we'd try and do the things he'd prepared, and no one could do it.
Right.
So then he was like, "Let's take a break." Reconvene in like 15 minutes. We came back, and his new lesson plan post this was teaching us to play Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, rather than I don't know what he was trying to do. So that I think literally after that, so I learned Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. And
did you make it into like a metal version when you go home? Like,
no, not at that point. That was just, yeah. I think that was why it ended up being guitar. And then like I had a picture. I can remember I then asked for Christmas for an electric guitar, which I went into the shop, and this must happen like all the time for this guy. There was a shop like not far from us, and I basically went in 14, 15, and I was like, I want a guitar for Christmas. What do I get? And he was like, do you know what you want? And I was like, yeah, I do. And he was like, is it a black electric guitar? And does it look like this? And he pulled one out off the shelf. And I was like, yeah, it's that. And he was like, everyone wants that one. And, so I was just complete cliche.
Yeah.
So I didn't get that one. And then went home to my mum and we got a secondhand one off, I don't think Gumtree was around, but something like that.
Yeah. What was the guitar?
So what I wanted was a Fender Strat, a Stratocaster. But I got an unbranded something.
Black guitar, yeah.
Made sounds. It was good to learn on. Yeah.
Started off with that. Okay. So, and then did you continue with lessons after that, or were you
No,
first...
I didn't have any lessons until I think the first lesson I had was for singing in college when I started taking it as a BTEC. So it was self-taught all the way through for guitar already.
So how did you learn guitar then? Like, you know, I mean, you say self-taught, but like you
it wasn't.
You just locked yourself in a room with guitar.
It just came to me. No, it was a mix of YouTube and have you heard of like Guitar Tab?
Okay.
So it was like I couldn't read music at that point, but it's basically like a dumbed down version specific for guitar of music notation. It's short for tablature, and it's basically just if you picture like a guitar neck,
yeah,
and then they basically just write down numbers for where to put your fingers, and then you just kind of read it through. It's like simple, like most people can get the hang of that pretty quick. So it's literally just a mix of YouTube and that, and listening to songs and just kind of trying to hear what was happening.
Okay.
And
so
yeah,
so you can't read music, or you can?
I can now.
Right.
Obviously done it at college and uni and that, but I mean like there's I say I can't, like in comparison to, for example, if there was like a session musician or someone who played in like a pit in an orchestra, they can like sight read fluently,
Yeah.
just like you were reading. I've never had a need to do it to that level, so
Yeah.
I've never bothered. I don't know whether that's it.
So not in the same way that if you're on piano, you read your sheet music and you read along, and that's how you play.
I mean, I can.
Yeah.
I'm just not compared to
No.
someone who you know.
So let's go to the beginning. What was the first song you ever wrote? What was it called?
Not a good one.
Should I listen to it? No.
No, that can be another section. The first song that I wrote was called "Hold On to Your Heart."
Hold On to Your Heart.
And
what was it about?
Next question.
No, what was it about?
Honestly, I don't even know what it was about. It was just I decided I want to try and write a song, and I honestly couldn't tell you what it was about. It was just...
But I mean, I don't need to know the deep meanings, but it wasn't like about monsters destroying a city.
No,
like it sounds to me like a love kind of like...
I mean, it would sound like that. I don't think it was. I think it was just kind of... I ended up with just like quite a few lines that sounded like kind of like love song cliches.
Yeah.
And it was just all put together. It wasn't about anyone. It wasn't about anything. It was just like... It's a song. At the time, I was like, I am the coolest person ever. I've just written a single that's gonna
take blow the world. Yeah.
And yeah.
Would you ever play that for somebody? Like, do you know what I mean? If someone was like, you got really big and they were like, oh, we're looking through, your back catalogue of stuff to release. Would you ever?
I mean, I'm sure you could still find it. I've still got, because see, this is like embarrassing how long I kept doing this song. Thinking about it now, till like recently.
Yeah.
When I first got to uni, obviously I went to like a uni that was all music based and that.
Yeah.
So as soon as I got there, I was like, okay, I've got the best songs going. I'm gonna get a band and be even better now. So like I messaged a load of people and ended up with like an 8-piece band with like there was 2 guitars, a bass, a piano, there was drums, there was trumpet, violin,
kazoo.
And I was like, yeah, kazoo and everything.
Triangle in the back.
And then we did like a live EP thing, which I've still got copies for left now. Because for a while, like when I actually bought other EPs and singles out that like I was a fan of, like that I could actually, I felt like I could sell and play. I still had these other ones left, so I was like, "Oh, if you get both of these, I'll give you this one for free," type thing. But then, even now, I'm like, "Why the hell was I doing that? Like, I don't want that out in the world."
So
like,
the
I've
world.
pulled it off everything online now, so I don't think you can stream it anywhere. I hope not. Anyway,
I'm gonna just try and find it, put it in the show notes. No, I won't.
Yeah.
So, like, this is something that's always really fascinated me about like creative process and how that goes on. But like, how do you begin to write a song? Where do you start from? Like, do you sit down and think, right, I want to write a song now, or do you wait for something to come as like a flash of inspiration?
I think there's so many answers to it. As far as songwriting goes, I don't think I'm very structured with it.
No.
I'm not as like good as I should be with making an effort to keep writing. Because I've got friends who that's their job now, like they're songwriting, and I still don't think. I'm sure I could write songs that other people might think were all right, and I could give to other people or use them myself. But like, unless it's that really like pretentious cliche thing of like, unless it means something to me, I don't feel like I want to use it for me. I think I'll tend to go through gaps of like a whole year at a time where I won't do much, and then I'll write like 3 or 4 in one go if I feel like I've got something to write about.
How long ago when was the last time you wrote a song?
Last time I finished writing one. That's the other thing. I think finishing writing one and starting writing one's a different thing.
Okay.
I've got so many like voice notes on my phone of things that I've started and just done like a verse of. But then like in a year from now, I'll like come back and go through all of them and try and piece them together.
So like you said, how do you start then? So you've got this something that means something to you. Mm-hmm. Do you start with lyrics, or do you start with chords, or do you start with?
I think I've done like every possibility you could. Like sometimes I've had like the like chords first, and then thought, oh, this would be cool, and then come to it later with the meaning, like lyrics and stuff afterwards. Sometimes I've had the lyrics first and had to put music to it after. I don't think there's like a way that's worked best, really. I think I've probably started with chords more and then put melody and words to it after. That's the other thing. I think I'll normally have the melody before the lyrics. So I'll kind of have voice notes on my phone of the chords going and then me either picking like one word to just sing over and over with the melody or like humming it until I've got words. So they sound really weird until a later point.
Yeah, no, but it's interesting. And then the thing I wanted to ask is then how do you go from that on your voice notes to like how do you eventually build it into a song? So what's like the editing process? How do you improve a song?
I'd say I'm not that great for production side of things.
Yeah,
like we're doing one at the moment with me and the guy who plays drums with me. But he's also a good producer as well, Jake. You know Jake.
I met Jake.
Yeah, so we're working on one at the moment where I've kind of got like references of songs that I want like the drums to sound like this type thing. So I'll have like finished the song and recorded it properly with just the guitar and voice, and sometimes I might try and add a bit of bass and piano because I can do a bit of that. But then anything past that, I'll normally get like Jake to put the drums on it. And then be like, what else do you think will sound cool? Like, I'm trying to go for this vibe, and then we'll just try some other stuff.
So, like, adding in production later on. Okay.
As in, like, normally a song's happy, and I'll end up gigging it before it's been recorded once I've got guitar and voice.
Mm-hmm. Then the other thing I wanted to know then is how do you know when the song's done? So, like, you've written it a bit and you've got the music to it, but then do you listen to it and go, oh, that sounds amazing, I know that's when I've done, or there's something like, oh, that verse is not quite right? Like with something like this, is how do you know when it's complete? Because for me, I'm just like, oh, you could change that forever. Yeah,
I mean, part of me is like, it's never finished.
Right.
Some of them haven't changed since I've finished. Like some of them I might finish in like a day. And then learn it and start gigging it, and it's not changed at all. And then others, there was one, a a song called I Know that was one of the first ones I recorded a few years ago. And since then, I had a song idea, but I was like, oh, this would work really well with the some of the parts I've got in I Know. And I'd stopped playing that one as much, so I literally started it from scratch. And it uses most of the same lyrics, but all the chords and melodies completely changed. So there's already like 2 recorded versions of that.
Oh.
I think you can find them online, actually.
Okay.
They're both on like SoundCloud, but...
So you kind of like, just like, oh, I know I can definitely improve this song.
Yeah.
Like, I've got this scaffolding that you can then improve.
Yeah. If that's become my new set opener for the past like year. It's one of those ones that I'm quite into, like the percussive guitar.
Yeah.
So before it was quite like a straight down the line song, which I quite liked, but it was kind of like, it wasn't that interesting. Whereas I had this idea and I was like, oh, I think this one could actually sound quite cool. Because it looks visually kind of cool as well to like open with, because it's just like hitting a guitar.
Yeah.
It's kind of like visually, if you're watching, it's like, that's a bit more interesting.
Yeah, it's. I think I've seen you play this.
I think you might have done.
Yeah, 51. Is it called?
Oh yeah, that one.
Yeah, and it is very interesting to watch because it's. I mean, I'm not really into music, but when I came and watched, I was like, I've never seen this done before. I'm not saying that you invented this style, but it's something very different than what you would see in like a normal bar gig, like that kind of stuff. And it was interesting enough that makes you go, oh, that's something good and interesting and different.
Cool, that's good to hear. That's
That's
what we're trying to go for.
No, it's good.
I could even in post actually. I've just realised I own those songs. We could put them in the podcast. I could play like a bit of I Know before,
definitely,
and a bit of I Know after.
I think so.
Yeah. Cue the music.
Yeah.
The rain keeps coming and it keeps on pouring down. The storm keeps going and I can't hear a sound. The fire in my chest is burning far too bright. The pain in my head is keeping me awake at night. My dear, my dear. Oh, 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 oh. The rain keeps coming and it keeps on pouring down. The storm keeps going and I can hear a sound. Fire in my chest is burning far too bright. The pain in my head, oh, it keeps me up at night. And I know, my dear, oh, my dear. Oh, it keeps on coming in the dead night.
What artists? I'll try that again. You can cut here.
Okay, I'm not going to cut here.
Gosh, dang it. What artist do you think has influenced your music the most?
I'm going to limit it to 3 because
Okay.
This could be the whole episode.
Yeah.
I'd say top spot
Yeah.
is John Mayer.
Right.
I'll always go back to him. Like, you know, when you're in a mood of you don't know what to listen to, always go back to John Mayer.
Let's say, tell me the artist and then tell me your favorite song of theirs.
There's so many reasons that I'd go for different songs. The one I want to say is Slow Dancing in a Burning Room, but that's too obvious.
But I think
I'm going to go, this is a hefty title now. I think the whole title is Walt Grace's Submarine Tests 1985. There's a year on the end. I can't remember the year name. That one. I love the songwriting in that. I don't think it's his best song, but I really like that song.
when you say you love the songwriting, what do you mean by that?
So he's crafted it in a way that it's not from his point of view. It's kind of, he's telling the story of a guy who it's one of those ones that you can look from different angles, and it's like you could just think it's a guy about building a submarine, or looking at him trying to escape his problems and the submarine's not really there. And then the end of the song, he kind of writes it as if this guy could have gone off in this submarine that he's testing out and died, or he could have reached the place he was going. There's just I like the layers to it. It's one that you can listen to and like get a different meaning each time. And that sounds really
no,
wanky.
it is good. No, I think that's
Saying it
good.
out
Like,
loud.
it's got more depth to it than just words, repetitive words.
But it's different to his. The main reason I like him is his guitar, and that one's pretty understated. Like Slow Dancing in a Burning Room and Gravity and all those ones that he's done, they're like 7-minute guitar solos in the middle, but this one's just acoustic guitar. I think there's like a little muted trumpet solo in there, and it's nice.
Really good. Okay.
Chilled.
So number 2.
I struggle with this one.
Okay.
Because I think he's the person.
Okay.
His first album was one of my favorites when I was still kind of like not learning guitar because I knew how to play at that point, but it was around that
in the
area.
beginnings.
Ben Howard. First album I loved to death, and second album completely different to his first, but I still loved to death. And then after that, I struggled to get into his last album.
Why?
It went really soundscapey. I think he was experimenting a lot with sounds, and the songs weren't really songs, which is fine, but I just don't think it's as good as his first two. They were more like an experiment in sound rather than... There was no like melody or hook that you could like kind of sing back.
Was there lyrics?
Yeah, there was lyrics, but
Okay.
like it was just all really kind of like trippy, loads of reverbs and...
Is it more you could see it as the background noise in like a video or a film or something like that?
Like I listened to, I think the best time I'd listened to it is I was driving to a gig. I think it was like a 2-hour drive. So it was not long after the album had come out, and I put that on and kind of like zoned out to it type thing.
Yeah.
Not too zoned out. I was driving.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? Like it was, I still couldn't sing any of them back, but like it was nice ambient music.
A bit surreal.
But yeah, I now wouldn't go back to that one too much, whereas the first two I still would.
Yeah.
Again and again. Also, I won't say because this story didn't happen to me, but I've heard from a couple of different people, like personal experiences, that he is a knob. Like apparently he is like a proper knob. And I won't say that's fact because I've not met him, but I know the person that was telling the story that happened to him, and I was like, if that wasn't Ben Howard, like I would say, you know, what a idiot. But
yeah.
yeah.
It's one of the things is never meet your heroes.
Yeah,
isn't it?
exactly that. Yeah. So anyway, I think he'll still be number
2
2.
and number 3.
Number 3, there's so many that could go here, but I'm gonna put this one in because it genuinely did influence when I was learning guitar. Is Newton Faulkner.
Okay.
So that was pretty cool this year.
Yeah, that was amazing. So did you tell him that you really influenced the way that
I tried. We mentioned this last week. I supported him in April this year.
Yeah.
And that was one of my favorite ever moments, like from a gig. That he was such a nice guy. Like I had to like be cool.
Yeah.
When I met him, because like there was one dressing room in the place we were playing, so we were all in one room. But he was like, he made a point of, he was there through all of the setup. He didn't like, disappear off at the end of the gig. Like he helped pack down, and he helped. He wasn't like
he was very grounded.
Yeah, he was just a super nice guy. But when I opened up my set, as I already mentioned with the song I Know, which was percussion guitar, and the main reason that I was even playing in that start was because I'd seen him live when I was younger, and on his albums I'd seen him doing the percussive guitar, and that's what got me into it. So I was literally playing this song that I had written the way it was because of Newton Faulkner, and he made a point of, he sat in the front row and watched all the support acts as well. So like I opened up this gig, and there's always that thing when you're on stage of the lights kind of like blind you to a certain degree, so you can't be seeing to the audience, but I could see the first couple of rows.
Right.
And like Newton Faulkner was like there.
So did you kind of, like, I don't know if you're gigging, if you're gigging, do you pick someone out and kind of sing to them, or how do you?
No, I'm one of those rubbish things. I need to stop doing it so much, but just with my eyes closed, kind of.
Just enjoying the music.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't surprised if you just picked him out and just sung to him like this. Is
yeah,
for you.
not literally. I think the other thing, I'd have freaked myself out too much if I kept looking over too much and remembered that he was that he was there.
And he just pulled like a weird face. Like, oh no,
Yeah,
I
we
ruined
didn't
it for
like
myself.
that one. Didn't like that one. No. But no, that was really cool.
That's so cool.
Because the nice thing was I'd just come off stage, and it was not long before his set a bit later on, and I was just coming out of the dressing room, and he was there kind of like getting ready like for his set, and he stopped me. He was like, oh, I really enjoyed your set, like it was really good. And I was like, oh my god. Yeah.
How did you get in that gig? Like, did he contact you, or did you
So
enter a
it was,
competition?
I'd done a gig in London. I think it was pretty much bang on a year before that gig. So it was last year, and it was in conjunction with, Richer Sounds, the audio shops. They sell TVs and sound systems and that. The owner of that made a side company foundation type thing called Richer Unsigned, and his aim was to help unsigned artists get exposure. And it benefited them in a small way, because there was one period where I did this gig for them. I think they were advertising some of the Richer Unsigned audio equipment on a stage, and then they had the artists. It was all kind of like trying to benefit each other.
Yeah.
And then they'd film from that gig, and then they played it in all of the Richer Sounds stores on the TV screens, when they get demo footage.
Yeah.
So for about a month around then, I don't know how long it ran for, I kept getting people sending me pictures of me in various stores around the country where people walking past, they were like, it's Ben on TV.
What are you doing there?
So that was weird.
Right.
But it was from that gig. The promoter was then putting on this gig with Newton Faulkner, which again was in conjunction with Richer Unsigned. And it was the same type thing that Channel 5 had done, but they got Newton Faulkner to make a playlist.
Right.
So he'd picked, again, from the Richer Unsigned songs, I don't know how many there was a few hundred people. So Newton Faulkner happened to pick one of my songs again. And I asked him this at the gig, so I was curious. I was like, is this one of those things where, they just make one and they put your name on it? And he was like, oh, no, they sent me...
Your PA done it, really.
They sent me songs, and he was like, I genuinely did pick from them. And I was like, seems trustworthy. It's good enough for me. And
he's got no reason to lie, has he?
Yeah, and the promoter just said, he was like, oh, I think you'd fit style-wise, because he'd seen me play, obviously, the one he put on before. So he was like, do you want to do that? And it was over email, but I was like...
Yeah, I was like, how excited
literally
were
jumping
you?
around the car at the time. I was a passenger. I wasn't texting and driving. And then I had to send a very relaxed message back.
Yeah,
sure, no problem.
maybe.
I'll check my calendar. And, so yeah, that was how that all came about. That was very cool.
Yeah, this is how different our lives are. Is that I went... Newton Faulkner was playing a gig with Icy Rivers, I think.
Yes. Yeah.
And Icy Rivers are from Lipper, aren't they?
Yeah, I've got a story about one of their songs, actually. Come on.
And basically, me and my girlfriend went to this gig. And I didn't really... I've been to loads of these little things where it's just people from Lipper.
Oh, I remember this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they were just introducing me to all these new people, because I was relatively new with my girlfriend.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh, hi, this is Sam. It's like, oh, nice to meet you. And my girlfriend was being really weird. Mm-hmm. So Sam's Newton Faulkner. So that's his actual name.
That's not his name.
And I didn't really... And then afterwards, I spoke to my girlfriend, and she was like, do you know who that was? Oh my god, do you know who that was? She was like, I was like, no, it's Sam. Is it not just someone from Liverpool? She's like, no, that's Newton Faulkner. I love him. His music's amazing. I'm like, oh, well, he kissed me on the cheek, we just sound like a sound guy. And it was just I had absolutely no idea who this guy was.
I think he's one of those ones that if you're a fan of him, you're a really big fan of him.
Yeah. He had one
huge song, and then he's got I think
it?
most people know him from that one. It was called Dream Catch Me.
Yeah.
But then for me, it was genuinely one of those ones that even if I hadn't supported him in April, and you asked me this now, he'd still be on my top 3, which is why I was so happy with it.
Go on, what's your...
I was gonna say it's slightly songwriting related.
Yeah.
Because you were asking me about that before. So Icy Rivers, we were friends with them. I say kind of still are. We're not seeing for a bit, but we were at uni with them.
Can I just interject here? for the longest time, I thought it was the rivers were really cold, as in like icy rivers, like you could skate on them.
Yep.
But it's me as a person. I'm looking at some rivers.
You're
isn't it?
visually seeing
Yes.
rivers.
Yeah, I see rivers. Yes, go on.
Damn. But yeah, we were friends with them in uni. And we'd been away for, I think this was probably like from first year into second year. Like we'd gone back home for summer and come back. And they're from Norway. So they'd all gone back to Norway. I'd gone back home to Birmingham at that point. We came back and we'd not long been back, and we did a gig that we were on the same lineup together. And I finished my set, and I'd played a load of new songs that I'd written over the summer. And one of them was called Hadlow Road, available now on my latest EP, so check that out.
What's it called? Sorry,
Hadlow.
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 That's not where you live, is it?
No, this
We're really narrowing it down now.
I'd finished the song and I'd written it about this. Oh, this sounds really cliched. It was a dream that I'd had.
Yeah.
And I woke up and I'd basically just seen like a bunch of people that I'd known over the years. And I can't remember what happened in the dream, but like I'd just like seen them on this train platform in my dream, and we just like had a chat. But I woke up and I was like, that was a weird.
That's cool though.
Dream. So the song's literally about that. And I finished it and I was like, I didn't know what to call it. And when I got back to Liverpool, we found this place just over the water in the Wirral. There was abandoned train station that I think closed in like the 60s called Hadlow Road.
Right.
And I just saw the station. I was like, oh, this like kind of looks like the one that was in my dream. It was just a nice station, so I ended up calling it that. Anyway, I'd written that song and I played it in this set. And we came off and I spoke to Alina, who's one of the girls from Icy Rivers. And she was like, what was that song? And I was like, I just wrote over the summer. And she was like, we've written a song that sounds like identical. And like, I'll put a snippet of the song in now. But like, not saying the part's like really complex, but it's not just like a chord.
Play
like,
it for me.
Play it for you now.
Yeah, okay. So then we can talk about it.
I don't know how I've got so off track.
Standing barefoot, I see.
Okay, so you've heard both of them now.
Yeah.
I think both of us have changed them a little bit since then. But like in that gig, they were identical. Like, because they were like, I didn't understand at this point, because they were like, we've written a song and like, it's the same song.
The same song.
They were like, it changes after that first bit, but the intro and like the first line of the verse, they were like, it's the same. And I was like, they played the song and they came up and I was like, that's the same. Like, but that was the weirdest thing. Like, there was no physical way that we could have ripped each other off, because they wrote that in Norway and I wrote mine in Birmingham.
Yeah.
And we hadn't spoke to each other over the summer, but so then I was like, did we both rip it off something else that we both heard at uni? But like, we've never found anything that we knowingly have ripped off. But
is that just, you both went to the same university? Were you both in the same course? Is that how that worked?
Yeah, but I mean, like on our course, there wasn't like a huge amount of interaction when it came to like, writing and
but you've been influenced by the same kind of things and kind of.
I mean, we're both in them and me are in a similar-ish genre, I suppose.
Yeah.
That was really weird.
Yeah. It's very interesting.
So
I wonder if that's like ever happened, as like a bigger artist. You like start writing a song and then someone releases a song that is like, but that's my song.
Yeah. I mean, I can't think of specifics now. I definitely remember hearing about cases where people have been writing in the same like studio block, and like they've either walked past the room or like one of their friends has been like, oh, can you come and have a listen to this? Tell us what you think. And they've like unknowingly or maybe knowingly taken what they've heard and put it into something, and it's been hard to prove, but yeah.
Okay. So, and I've got a couple more questions.
Go on.
I'm going to talk about some gigs now. Mm-hmm. So, At like say like bar gigs, what would you say is your most played song? So not something that you've written yourself, but like goes down well with the people.
It changes. There's a few. Alicia Keys.
New York.
If I Ain't Got You.
Okay.
That one always goes down well. What else? Justin Bieber tends to go down well. Ed Sheeran goes down pretty well. And also I'd say he's maybe not the most, because I don't know whether that's a question that you're going to ask, like most requested songs.
No. I was going to ask that, but
I'd say most requested, and I hate this song with a passion now, is Wonderwall.
Is it really?
Like, I will make a point of not playing that song at gigs now.
Are people not just asking, like, ironically?
I mean, occasionally, but like you'd hope so, but it's not. Like, I genuinely almost got in a fight with a guy. It was not a rough bar; it was like a student bar, but it was like a late slot, so he was quite pissed by this point. I was playing from like 11. I think it finished like 1:30. It was towards the end of the night, and he was like, "Oh, mate, can I ask a request?" And like I'd always say, I was like, "If I know it, I'll do it. I can't always promise it though." And he was like, "Oh, do Wonderwall." And I was like, oh, "Come on, like anything else, like literally anything else." He was like, "No, I really want to hear Wonderwall." And I was like, "I'm not playing Wonderwall." Like I had like 2 songs left, and like I used to play it for a bit, but then I'm just so sick of it now. Like if I played it like every night of the week at gigs, like. And I already hate it.
Like, it's a good song, but is it? To me, it's more like a joke. Like,
yeah,
like that seems like memes going along. It's anyway, here's Wonderwall.
I don't know whether it's because of this song, but like, I'm not really a fan of Oasis. Like, I find them just a bit grating. Like, it's like the voice is just a bit whiny, and the songs are just repetitive. And
from
like,
Manchester,
don't get me wrong. Like, I think that they do have good songs, but I'm just saying, me personally, I'm not. I can appreciate the songs, but I'm not a fan of it. A huge amount.
So let's riff off that. Like, what? Who else?
Ed Sheeran is after that. He's either on par.
No, I'm going to ask. What songwriters do you not like?
Oh, do I not songs I don't like?
Yeah, sort of like artists or voices. Because
you've asked me this before.
Yeah, but I want when you give me the
I have a list, and none of these people I'm saying are bad singers.
No,
I'm just saying that for some reason they're really great on me.
We're part of this part where it goes. You can't please everybody.
No. Yeah.
Ben
like,
cannot be pleased by
which
anybody.
is fine. Like, I'm sure there's some people, like, my favourite artists, people won't like them.
Yeah.
But anyway, singers specifically, Arctic Monkeys. Alex Turner's voice just really grates on me.
So funny.
I don't know why, but him, Morrissey. Really grates on me.
I despise him.
Yeah.
I absolutely agree. And I don't really like music, and I like to make the point of this. I don't think there's any artists that I like as much as I hate the Smiths. That makes sense. Like, I hate.
So you're saying you take more pleasure in hating this person than the amount of pleasure you get from liking someone?
Yeah, okay. Basically. It's not like pleasure, but like the emotional response.
Yeah.
As like, there's no one that like, oh yeah, absolutely buzzing. I would love to go and see them.
Yeah.
I would pay money not to go and watch the Smiths.
Yeah.
Which I think would, some people are absolutely distraught by that because they love them.
Yeah. James Arthur. Really don't like that voice. Tom Adele as well. There's just something about the way that I think this whole list, the way that they pronounce words, there's something just gets to me.
Are they just all from Yorkshire?
I hate Yorkshire people. No, are they? No, they're not. Like, Tom Adele's definitely not.
Is he not? Where's Morrissey from? Who knows? The wonder.
We
of
do
the
have this handy thing called Google.
This is a section where we just Google people.
Where is Morrissey from? Well, the next thing is, where's Morrissey playing tonight?
Not near me, hopefully.
Lancashire.
That's basically Yorkshire.
It says he grew up in Manchester, though.
Well, that's Lancashire as well, basically. Okay, what is your most memorable gig experience? So,
good or bad? How about good and bad?
Give me a good. How many have you got? Can you give me a good sandwich? Can you go bad, good, bad?
I'd say like this was what I'd call my first proper gig, and it actually was quite a good one. It was when we were in college. It was when the Olympics were on, and we'd been asked to do. It was in Hyde Park. They had this big festival going on. I think it was BT London Live, something like that. So there was the main stage, and then there was a bandstand stage, which was smaller, obviously. It was still pretty big. I seem to remember like 300 or 400 people there, but we'd been asked to do.
Wonderwall.
I don't know. No, it wasn't that, but it was covers. We'd been asked to do a tribute to the Doors.
I'll just attack the microphone. Goodbye, Pop Shield.
That was a good punch as well. That was solid. We'd been asked to do a tribute to the Doors. I don't know why we were doing a tribute to the Doors at London Olympic Festival, but that was that anyway. So we did that, and I sung a couple of songs, and then this was like one of those scenarios that you like picture when you're a kid. Like if you go and watch a band, and then someone comes out and they're like, "The guitarist's broken his hand, he can't play," and you're like, "I know all the songs," and then get up and play. We came off stage, and they were like, "Oh, one of the bands hasn't been able to turn up. Like, can anyone play a set?" And I was like, I looked around and like no one was saying anything. I was like, I'll do it. I was like, but I'd not got a guitar because I was only singing in this thing. So one of the bands who was playing later in the day, I don't know whether I didn't just move them forward, but he said I had a guitar that I could borrow. So I got up and played. At that point, I wasn't that proficient. I was still kind of like finding the ropes with singing because I'd not been singing that long. And I played a weird mix of a few covers, and then that was the first time I played one of my own songs, which was "Hold On To Your Heart," as we've already mentioned. Yeah. And I was like, I'll just put it in. I'll just do it. But it was quite a nice moment because like it was in a proper festival, like in Hyde Park. There was 300 or 400 people in the audience, and I didn't get booed off stage. So I was really happy at that point because I felt like I'd done a proper.
That's so cool.
I did a thing.
That's like movie worthy, you know, when you like you just come off the stage, guy in a little headset and a microphone, like, I mean, we need someone to play.
if topped off, if I come off stage and A&R man in a suit come up and being like, that was the best thing I've ever heard. We'd like to sign you up to Sony.
Here's a briefcase of £1 million. Take that and create music, please.
So that was good as well.
Give me a terrible experience then.
A terrible. I honestly, and touch wood, this won't happen. I don't have any terrible experiences of original ones.
No.
Because I've already mentioned this, like in my head, there's a very definite line of like original stuff is one thing, covers gigs are a separate thing. I'll say the worst one though, which ended up being really funny. Like this could be a whole section of people being awful again.
So my next question was, tell me about some heckling stuff.
I'll mix it into one then.
Get me in there.
All the time, people will come up and try and hold a full conversation with you while you're playing. Because a lot of the time, in bars, there won't be a proper stage area. So, like you and me are the distance from each other now. Yeah. People can just come right up to you. And, like, there's been numerous ones, like, where there was this one guy who came up, and sometimes they'll come up when you're just starting, so you can still talk to them, but you might be, like, playing guitar, kind of, like, just hold something in the background so it doesn't sound like you stopped. Because, obviously, in a bar, if you stop, the atmosphere dies. Yeah. And everyone kind of, like, starts looking what's going on.
Just turns and looks.
So I'd started, and I was singing at this point. This guy came up, and he was like, oh, mate, how'd you go about getting these gigs then? And I'm singing, and I'm having to kind of like give eye contact, like I can't talk to you, pretty evidently here. And he just keeps going, and progressively gets more annoyed that I'm not responding. And then he was like, "Oh, shall I just make CDs to give to people and try and get gigs?" And at this point, I'm pretty exasperated. I'm like, he's been talking to me for like a full 2 or 3 minutes. I've almost finished the song by this point. Yeah. And he's getting pretty pissed off at me. So like I said, I was like, mate, give me like 10 minutes. I'll be on a break. And he still stayed and tried to talk to me. And then in the end, just left the bar, really pissed off that I'd not spoken to him. So
number one skill, mate, personal skills.
Yeah.
You got to be getting on with people.
Yeah. So that wasn't the awful one anyway. That's just people being idiots. And that happens way more regularly than you'd think. Yeah. The worst one that was the funniest was there was this woman it was a really small bar. It could only hold like 20, 30 people, but they had an outside area as well. And there was this woman who, I want to say it was like 2 p.m. She'd obviously been drinking a lot already. She was with like 3 of her friends. I don't know what they were celebrating, but something. And she kept coming over. At the start, like she was kind of all right. She kept like putting her arm on my shoulder, and I was playing at this point.
Okay.
And she just kept like kind of shouting in my ear, like just random stuff. Like, can you play this?
Can you play Wonderwall, please?
She probably did say that, but and then to start with, her friends like kept pulling her back and like being like, you know,
so sorry.
Be all right.
Yeah.
And then they just gave up eventually. And she got more and more pissed. And she was eventually just kind of like grabbing onto my guitar and just kind of incoherently going in my ear. And I was like, in the end, I was like, leave me alone. Like, please get away and like stop bothering me.
You know, we go full diva, really like, security! Security!
I wish I could do that, but there's no bouncer at that one. It was just me. And bar staff couldn't have cared less. So anyway, she got upset at that and tried to like grab the neck of my guitar. So I then had to like kind of like fend her off and like keep her at arm's length.
Did you try to continue playing during this?
No, I had to stop.
Yeah,
like
you weren't just like one-handed like slap away chord.
And I think at that point bar staff did come over because then it was affecting the place, not just me. And they I think they managed to move her out to this front bit, and they had these like long benches. And I was like pretty pissed off at this point because I was like, she was literally grabbing my guitar.
I'd be mad.
And I watched her. She was all right, so I can laugh about this. She passed out. She was sitting on this bench. She threw up down her front and then passed out and fell off backwards off this bench. And I just watched her, the whole thing, and she was just lying in a pool of her own vomit out the front. And to start with, I was like, oh, God, like, that's instant karma.
Yeah.
Then I was like, is she all right? Like, that actually looked pretty bad because she, like, hit the concrete.
Yeah. Oh, gosh.
But then I watched her. They managed to sit her up. She was all right.
She came back round.
That was funny, though.
I bet you felt so glad.
I really did. That was great. The other thing with hecklers in a way is the people who have to be the big man at gigs.
Okay, what do you mean by that?
So this happens at least every month, like more regularly than you'd like it to happen.
Okay.
But the people, you can tell if people come up and they are actually they want to pay a compliment, or maybe they do music themselves and you end up having a chat afterwards and they're nice. But the people who come up and they say either, they're a guitarist as well, or they're a singer, or they're a producer, and then you kind of quickly realize they're not. If they do, they're definitely not.
Oh, I play Guitar Hero at home.
But it's like, for example, if you were another guitarist and came up and you'd enjoyed someone's playing, you might be like, really nice set, mate, enjoyed it. And you'd leave it at that.
Well, you don't need to give you anything information about yourself.
But you can tell the people straight away now who come up and they're like, that was really good, mate, but like, you might want to think about, if you put a bit more distortion on that, you'd nail it then, like, you'd be good. And it's like, oh, all right, mate. When you clearly know, like, I'm not saying I'm perfect. There's always things you can improve on. But it's like when you come over and it's like, oh, mate, that you would have been good, but that compression was just off, It's like they have to say something to put you down to make sure that you know that they're the best at what they're talking about.
Just here's a music word you could do better.
Yeah.
Because that's what I would do, and I'm better than you.
And then they have to they go through like explaining for 20 minutes on why they're incredible. I had this one guy that it cracked me up. Like he did that, and then I was like, I think I had like 15 minutes left of my break, but I was like, oh mate, I'm sorry, I've got to go back on to avoid him. And I watched him. I established like he was pretending to be on the phone to look like he was making calls to people, to look like he was important.
Okay.
And like I noticed that he wasn't, because when you kind of move your phone, you can just see it's on the home screen. And then he kept like looking over at me to check how I was looking. And he came up after I was finished, and he was like, again, open with like a comment to put me down. He was like, oh, that was great, mate, but don't ever play that last song again. That was shit. And I was like, wow, thanks, mate. And he was like, oh, I was just on the phone to Richard. This Richard, he's a really big producer in Liverpool. And I was oh yeah, I know Richard, mate. He was like, oh, you do. He was like, yeah, I'm going to put you in touch with him. He'll do wonders for you, mate. He was like, I've given him your number. And I was just like, piss off.
And this is not someone that's like part of the bar.
No, he was just a drunk man at the bar. But it happens constantly. Like sometimes, I'd have that happen. I'd be like, oh God, they're actually going to put me in touch with someone good. And then it happens like every month, and it's like
there's never any contact.
I don't know why there's that many people who it's weird because I've talked to other people who do gigs and it happens to them too, and it's like, what is it about these kind of people that I don't know what it is? It's weird.
Maybe it's just like a dream of theirs to be,
Yeah.
a big singer-songwriter, and they've not made it, and they're like, oh yeah, I know this guy, and just believe that they've got a bit of power. It's all about power. Ben.
All about power.
All
We spoke
about
that
power.
before, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
But yeah,
Have you ever had like a weird experience at a gig?
I've had a very weird experience at a gig.
Ooh, sounds juicy.
It's like I've always had that thing of being slightly nervous if someone asks me to play in their own home. And it's happened a few times, but like it's always been fine.
I always feel like it'd be a weird question, like weird
Yeah,
thing
but
to do anyway.
it's like it's normally not like can you come play in my house? And it's like a tiny little. It's normally like they've got quite a nice big space. And they're like holding a birthday party or something.
Not like come and serenade my wife to bed and like.
Yeah, not like that. Right. This
However,
one, I'm not going to name any names because we're So I was playing at a bar and this person booked me.
well, give him a name.
Just give him a name.
Yeah,
Let's call him Terence.
Terence. So Terence booked you.
Terence booked me, and Terence was a bit larger than life. Like, I'm not going to give too many defining features, but he's quite a character.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's a couple months down the line. Go to this event.
Yeah.
And it was a birthday for not them, but it was like a family member's birthday.
Okay.
So they were in a nice flat. Like, it wasn't a small, it was like a big, spacious thing. And were put to kind of paint a picture of how big it was. Our dressing room was their library in their flat. So
just hang your coat on the mahogany chest there.
yeah. So it was a very, very nice place. Like Terence had staff at this party in his own home. So we had like bartenders and people with canapes going around and everything. And it was a nice event. It was a family type thing. There was kids there and just quite normal. It was in the evening. So we played a couple of hours. And then towards the end, kind of like the family started filtering out and there was just like a smaller group of people. And they basically came up around this time and they were like, can you play an extra hour? Okay. So we, that's not like out the ordinary. We just named a price beforehand.
Who else was it? It wasn't just you.
Sorry,
then?
it wasn't just me. It was me and a guy called Joe.
Yeah. Drumming.
Yeah.
Okay.
So anyway, we set a price, played the extra hour, and that was when it started getting weird.
Okay.
So I already mentioned that the families had started filtering out.
Yeah.
There's a few other elements I'm not going to mention because it gives too many defining features away.
Okay.
So there's just a group of older men
Okay.
left. Maybe 10.
How old are these men?
Not old. I'd say ranging from like
Retired yet? You reckon?
like maybe not quite, and some of them
Yeah.
like just around then. They're all very wealthy, and it's all become very obvious that they're all very wealthy because everyone's making a point of talking to us about how rich they are and how rich everyone in this room is. Like questions like, not even questions, just statements like, "Oh, do you know how much people in this room are worth?" And it's like, no, I don't really care.
£3.50,
Like,
mate?
but just imagine a weird vibe of like everyone trying to one up each other in terms of like money and.
Sounds like a dick measuring contest.
Literally,
kind
yeah.
of.
Mine's bigger than yours.
Yeah.
At the end, anyway, Terence, who'd booked me, came up to me and he was like, thanks so much for playing. We've all really enjoyed it. And he took my hand and gave a kiss on the hand. And I'm gesturing now, so this doesn't work great on mics. But he licked up my hand.
Oh God!
Like maybe an inch or so.
Like is your hand like normal handshake type?
So no, like flat. He like took my hand to like give it like I was expecting like a little peck on the hand as like a thank you for the music. But it was that and then lick up. So my hand was like flat.
Like for example, if you were doing tequila and you had salt on your hand.
Exactly like that.
Yes,
that's how it was. So at that point I was like, that's not great. I kind of took my hand away as quick as I could. And he just walks off.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay.
It doesn't end there.
It doesn't end there.
Oh.
I forgot to say, this was prefaced with, we just finished, and one of them had come up to us and was like, oh, will you stick around for a drink, like, to say thank you? And at that point, we're like, yeah, why not? That's
Yeah. They're all really rich.
They're all really rich.
Got great beer in.
So we did that.
St. Tesco's own.
And we had drinks at this point. We were like half packed down when he did this. So I was like, let's finish packing down as quick as we can, down this, and we'll go.
Yeah.
So we carry on packing down, and he comes back over like around the time that we've finished. And I'm gonna have to pick my words carefully because there's defining things in this story. But he had artwork on his wall. I've not told you this story.
You've not? No, this is totally new to me. I'm loving it.
So he had artwork on his wall.
Yeah. What was it?
It was a very textured piece.
Okay.
And he was the patron of something. Okay. And I don't want to say what the place was because it will give it away.
Right.
So it was done by someone at this place that he was a patron of. He rambles on for a bit. In the middle, he kind of goes on a tangent and gets quite sinister for a minute. And he says to me and Joe, he's like, do you know who I am? And we're like, no, like we've only just met you, Terrence.
Yeah.
You've booked us for your birthday, but we don't really know you. And he was just like, Google me. And we were like, what now? And he's like, no, just Google me and then you'll know who I am. We were like, Jesus, like calm down. Okay. We were like, all right. And then he goes back into the story about this artwork. So he rambles on about it for a while. And then he stood on my left and again, I'm gesturing here, so it's not helpful. Yeah. But he had his hand on my shoulder.
Yeah.
And he was like, this piece here was done purely by touch. And then as he was saying this, like he ran his hand down my arm from the shoulder it was on. And I was like trying to recoil, but not in a super obvious way that it looked like I was like running away from him.
Yeah.
Because like we were in his house and it just felt really uncomfortable.
God.
I mean, obviously felt uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So at this point, like the vibe just kept getting weirder. Yeah. Like I already mentioned that people were like kind of like getting close and touching, and like it just became evident that everyone in this flat was gay.
Yeah.
And it felt like it was going in a certain direction.
Yeah.
So we were like really close to being packed up and finished here. So we just thought, let's get out as quick as we could. Like we hadn't driven, we'd not got a taxi booked, but we were just like, we'll get out of here with all this equipment, find like a street corner that we can wait on, and we'll go from there. So we tried to get out as quick as we could, and there was, out of this group, there was like 3 people who were around our age that were still there that we'd been talking to earlier in the night, because they were kind of like similar in age to us, so we were like mutual ground, like we'll chat to them.
Yeah.
And they seemed very normal. But then it kind of seemed like, oh, maybe they're here for a reason at this time now.
So you're saying they weren't there for the music?
Yeah, maybe something like that.
Yeah.
And one of the ones we've been talking to, like, we were trying to get out quickly, but we didn't want to just run past these people that we'd been talking to. And we said, like, goodbye to them. And this one guy, like, took my hand, like, just to shake it, like, goodbye. And he didn't let go. Like, he hadn't got a super tight grip, but he just kept holding it. And I literally had to, like, pry my hand away on the way out to get out. And then I was like, okay, we got past them. And I was like, the only thing I need to do... And I was like, do I talk to him or not? Because we needed to sort this extra money for the set that we played. So I was like, okay, what I'll do is I'll just say I'll email him about the extra set. Because he was kind of drunk at this, Terrence at this point.
Yeah, Terrence was drunk.
So I was like, I'll email him tomorrow just to remind him. But like, I'll say something now so it's in his head. So we were like by the door, almost out at this point. And I managed to like catch him on the way out. Because I didn't really want to talk to him at all at this point.
No.
But I was like... just wanted to say thanks again. I'll give you an email tomorrow about the money. And that was it. And again, like I said, he got sinister halfway through rambling about this picture. He kind of got like that again. And he just kind of looked at me and he was like, be really careful what you ask for. And I was like, just about the extra set we played. Like, I don't know what else like he thought I was like talking about, or whether it was just the money. But I was like, it's all right. Like, it was just what we spoke about earlier. Like, I'll just give you an email. And he's like, I know. He was like, I'm just saying, be really careful what you ask for. And I was like, oh, okay. At this point, I was like, I don't care about the money. I was like, I'm just gonna leave. So I did. We left and got out of there. And I emailed him the next day about the money. Perfectly normal. He just gave me the money by bank transfer. Didn't say anything else.
So
weird. We then found out, and I don't know how much he was exaggerating, because like nothing actually happened while we were there, but it got super uncomfortable, I said. Because I don't know this guy well, but this is what he said anyway. One of Joe's friends was a family friend with Terrence.
Okay.
and they'd been there earlier in the night. And he was saying, because Joe had told this story to everyone as well, because nothing had really happened to him.
Yeah.
It all happened to me, so he found it increasingly funny that he just watched it all. So he told one of his friends, and he was like, "No, my family were there. Like they were there at that place." He was like, "The reason that they leave early is because they know that it goes into these like gay orgies that he holds in the night." And I was like, I don't know how much to believe, whether he was just playing it up into the story. But that happened. That was probably.
He didn't ask like he's like, do you want to stay another hour, Ben?
Well, honestly, like
you.
I don't know how much I'm forgetting from this story, but like I'm honestly not trying to play it up more than it was. Like that
Give me
was
a price,
what
Ben.
happened.
Give me a price.
Please don't.
Yeah, no, I can see how that's like really uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And like how you felt very, very strange.
Yeah, because we're in someone's house. That's why it adds to it. Like it's not a
So
public
weird.
space. And he licked my hand.
My
hand
that doesn't
was
matter
licked.
if they're a man or a woman. That's just
I was licked by
weird.
someone's tongue
Yes.
who I don't know.
Yes. Even if I did that, you'd be like, it's a little weird.
I don't think there's anyone that I would be comfortable doing that to my hand just out of the blue.
Yeah.
Like
at the end of a gig. Do you know how much I sweat?
yeah, it can't have been pleasant for him.
maybe he's part horse, and like you know how horses like love to lick your hands because you just like salt all over him. Give him a polo next time, you'll be fine.
I think it's time for me to ask you some questions.
Go on then. Well, yeah. Go on, ask me some questions.
Yeah, I've not prepared any questions.
No, just
because
ballpark it.
yeah. What's your favorite band?
So you know how you said you hated the Arctic Monkeys?
Yeah,
Yeah, my favorite band's the Arctic Monkeys.
that's fair enough.
But like, I want to preface it with, I'm not into music.
No, but I
really
think
much.
that could be a good thing. That's why I'm gonna ask you some now.
Yeah, so yeah, like I want to say like a lot of the people that you mentioned throughout that whole questioning thing, I'm like, yeah, I've no idea who.
I
half of
didn't
the
even
people-
think to explain that more. Actually, I do that all the time though, because I think not that I'm like super artsy niche music, but I think I tend to like smaller bands. A lot of the
and I
time.
also think you a lot of your friends are from the musical side of things. So
Yeah.
like they spend more of their time listening to music than
Very true.
than like maybe the general population. So
Yeah.
you're like, oh, this band, like, yeah, they're really good. The production value, and I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah.
So have you ever had any desire to?
So I used to play the violin
Mm-hmm.
for a bit.
I didn't know that about you actually.
Yeah, I used to play the violin as a child.
Yeah.
But never continued it. I was very much like, you know how you said if you got into something you were like really obsessed and kind
Yeah.
of just like really pushed through. So I was like a whimsical child.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, I want to try this. Oh, I want to try that now. I want to
Yeah.
do this instead. And I would just go
That-
from
yeah.
thing to thing to thing to thing.
Never
so,
finish one.
Yeah. So I played violin for maybe a year and gave it up. And then I played the oboe for a year.
Nice.
And then gave that up. Two instruments that are not beginner friendly, really.
No.
Well, or it might be. It's just that they sound terrible
Until you get good.
until you actually get good. Yeah, and
Yeah.
I never got past that stage.
So it just always sounded
It just
terrible.
always sounded terrible. And my problem was, I wasn't a big homework guy, and a lot of music is you need to do it at home.
Yeah.
Like you can't just go from one lesson to another and just like an hour a week. Oh yes, now I'm going to music. And my little like as a child was like, why am I not getting any better? And then they go like, did you practice home? I'm like, no, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
And they'd be like, but make me better.
You're the person that I struggled because like I've not taught for very long, but I dabbled in it when I didn't have much gigs, and it was so frustrating having if you taught someone for 1 hour and then next week you knew that they'd not practiced and they'd be like, oh, why am I not improving?
Yeah,
and
why
it's
am I-
like me teaching you for an hour is not enough. Like you need to be doing it every day.
Yeah. So those things I never got better at.
Yeah.
I bought an electric guitar. It was a Fender.
You bought a Fender.
I think so.
Wow.
Well, I say I bought it. I think it was like my parents bought it.
I was gonna say that's like it's not a cheap
No,
one to just.
it was like
go
the
in at.
cheapest one. I don't know.
Well, Fender, if it was Fender, they've got like a sister brand called Squire, but that's technically still Fender, but it's like the cheap one.
Okay, maybe
That's
it was that.
generally what you'd start out with.
I
like-
couldn't tell you. And then I maybe had 2 lessons with that, and then it just lived in my cupboard
Right.
for a long time. And
Still there.
I don't know where I think I sold it. I think it came around and I sold it off, and then I had like an amp, and I sold that off as well.
Yeah. I was going to say, if you've still got a Fender just knocking about, I'll take that off your hands.
No, it's definitely gone now. Yeah, so never committed to it. Like I never got into it enough.
Yeah, but I almost get the impression that you don't even not like listening to music, but it doesn't seem to fuss you too much when you've spoken about it.
No, like I would never sit on my own and listen to music.
Has that ever been a thing that you would just sit in a room and you would just listen?
No. I could do it maybe as a social thing. Like I think we've sat down and listened to a record together, and I think I could do that and like maybe speak about it.
Yeah.
But I couldn't just sit and just listen to music. It's always either a aid traveling, so like if I'll listen to music as I'm going somewhere, or like on the radio. It's never the reason I'm listening to music is to listen to the music. The reason is to cull boredom or something like that. And
much like a podcast.
Yeah, well that's the thing is I've gone from music into, as I've matured, I've gone, oh well I don't not into that music, but I enjoy listening to people talk. I'm way more into that. So I either listen to podcasts or listen to audiobooks in place of where you might listen to music. Yeah. So if I'm gonna wash up, then I'll listen to a podcast. Or if I'm gonna cycle somewhere, instead of listening to music, I'll listen to a podcast or an audiobook.
I suppose I'm almost the opposite then to that I will now, if it's an accompaniment to something, I'll listen to podcasts. Like if I was to go for a run, I generally won't listen to music. I listen to a podcast, but then I'll kind of almost set time aside to listen to music.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Exercise is the one time I will put music on and not a podcast.
Yeah.
Because I feel like if I'm doing like weights or something like that, then I'm focusing so much on the weights that I don't listen to what they've said. Yeah. Whereas with music, I'm like, well, it doesn't matter. Yeah. Because I don't care, but I want to hear I'm listening to the podcast because I care what they say.
Yeah. I suppose, I kind of, if I was racing, I'll listen to music so I can zone out. Yeah. But if it's like a long training one, talking, I don't know, it keeps me more entertained than, yeah.
It's fair enough.
Yeah. What else can I ask you? What's your favourite gig that you've been to? Have you seen many live bands?
So I think I've seen. I really enjoyed Example. I want to saw Example a couple of times, and his gigs were really good. Most recent gig, I went and watched Ed Sheeran with my girlfriend.
Oh yeah, what did you think of him?
Yeah, it was really good. Like he seems to. I don't know enough, but he seems to put a lot of effort into it. Yeah. It seems to be kind of mixed on stage. Like he doesn't. He seems to create the beat with the guitar, put it in a loop, that kind of stuff. Yeah. And then kind of get like all his upbeat ones, rather than like he's got like the backing track and kind of just plays along with it. And then
it's kind of cool that.
McBusted. That was a good one. Very childhood one. So do I enjoy gigs? They're okay.
Maybe you've just not seen the right gig.
I mean, I really enjoy your gigs, Ben, when I go.
Thanks.
There you go.
Thanks.
Sit in bars and they're just kind of chilled, a bit more relaxed.
Yeah.
You don't have to pay 70 quid to get in.
Yet.
Well,
I'll rip you off when I get a chance.
Well, yeah, actually, when I went to Ed Sheeran, I had a terrible experience trying to get into the gig.
Oh, you did, didn't you?
Yeah, so it was, so we got the tickets off one of Annie's friends, who had bought them off like Ticketmaster as like as a scalper. They'd been scalped, and then they bought them again, and basically they knew they'd been scalped. Like Ed Sheeran was like, "I'm not having anybody pay exorbitant prices for them."
He like made a public clamping down.
Yeah. So it meant that when we got to the gig, they were like, "Yeah, you're not coming in," and they were just like, they just put like this red sticker on them and like. Scalped. Yeah. And it was like, you need to go over see those people. And they were like, you had to go and explain how you got them from. You had to have like your receipt and stuff like that. Because my girlfriend was like, oh, do I need to bring this? And I was like, I'd heard about this stuff. Like, might not be able to get back in. Yeah. So I was like, yeah, we need to bring all this stuff. And basically, we had to then buy face value tickets while we were there. So I think these tickets cost hundreds of pounds originally because they got scalped. Yeah. And then we had to pay like another 80 quid on top of them to buy face value tickets
just to get in.
But it was stress getting in, but once you were in, I really enjoyed it. It was a good time.
Good stuff.
Okay. Well, I'm kind of out of questions.
Out of questions. Well, I think we've been talking for a while, to be fair.
Yeah. Cut it there.
Cut it there.
Well, this has been another podcast of Two Sheep in a Pool. Thanks for listening. You can find us on all the usual places, Facebook, Twitter, and on our website, which is www.twosheepinapool.com.
That's the one.
I've been James.
I've been Ben.
Thanks.
See you next time.